Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And we're going to go through the second dungeon, that is Dodongo's Cavern. I was actually really impressed with the entrance to this dungeon, where it had the overall huge skull of what could only be assumed as a Dodongo. And just the overall aesthetic of this first room lent itself to something grand. Like, as soon as you started this dungeon, if you hadn't got the feeling for it before, you knew that Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was gonna be something special. You're gonna see some amazing sights in this game, and this particular entry room kind of sealed the deal for me. And I also was kind of happy for the fact that they brought back a whole lot of things from old games that I really enjoyed, like Dodongos, you know, up until, what was it? Yeah, this game, like, they didn't have hardly anything that remotely resembled Dodongos. Yeah, there was those Dodongo snakes in Link's Awakening, but that wasn't the same thing. I mean, the last time I recall having a Dodongo in a Zelda game was the very first one, you know? So just seeing the fact that they actually existed, and you could see these creatures in full 3D form, was just a treat for me. I was excited to see what it was, and if there was a boss, which of course there was. Man, let me tell you, my first time playing through that area, throwing those bombs, it took me ages, so many tries to try and pick up and throw a bomb and have it stick near one of those bumpable walls. It was absolutely ridiculous. I kept on missing, throwing it, not throwing it in time, getting myself exploded. It was like a comedy of errors for like about a good 15-20 minutes trying to bomb those stupid walls with the bomb flower. It was just ridiculous. Now here I wasn't exactly sure where everything was in this dungeon, so I was trying to make sure that I lured one of them over to this particular bombable wall. Another aspect that I really liked that they brought back, or using more enemies. Oh yeah, this level, or this room, all it had was a golden Skulltula. I was rather disappointed. I thought it'd be like a key or a map or a compass or something, but no, it was just a Skulltula room. Very disappointing, especially at this early stage of the game where you actually had to work to get those bombable walls blown up, and you didn't have like a easy to access bomb bag. But as I was saying, I really liked them re-envisioning old classic enemies from the Legend of Zelda series, the 2D games, into 3D here. As I said, there's a lot of homages and throwbacks and Easter eggs to previous Zeldas in this one 3D game. It's like they were taking all the best ideas from all the 2D games, like, let's just shove it all into this first 3D game, because Lord knows if we're going to be able to make another. Of course they will, but, you know, at the time they're just like, we got to make sure we put all our ideas in this one level. And one of the ideas, of course, is bringing statues back to push on switches, which was, of course, first introduced in the Dark Palace in Link to the Past. So, of course, they had to introduce that here as well, but in 3D form. But another enemy I was actually very pleased to see return, at least in 3D form for the first time, was the Beamos. And at the time, I didn't know how to kill it, until Navi told me. I'll talk about the Lizalfos in a second. But in the Link to the Past game, the Beamos were completely invulnerable. You couldn't kill them, so I thought it was kind of similar in nature there, where you just couldn't kill the Beamos. But obviously you can, and from this game onward, you can of course kill Beamos. You just couldn't in Link to the Past. Now Lizalfos is a very interesting enemy. First time, I think The Adventure of Link, Zelda 2, had an enemy similar to this, like a walking lizard, but not quite like this particular enemy. This is still something new to the Zelda franchise. But then, of course, you know, since this game, it's become kind of a staple enemy for the series. You fight it no differently than what you would a Wolfos. You lock on, let it do its thing, kind of working its way around you, and then strike out when it strikes out at you and gets blocked by your shield. It's really not a hard enemy, and the fact that they make them mini-bosses not once but twice in this level is kind of just anticlimactic. But then, you know, the first dungeon didn't even have a mini-boss. This is actually the first dungeon to have one, and I think every dungeon after this has a mini-boss of some sort. Ah, yes. The Dodongos themselves proper. This is what you would be finding in Legend of Zelda, the very first game. This would be the size of your Dodongos in those dungeons. And just like that, even though you can hit these things on the tail, which you could not do in the original Legend of Zelda, you can still also drop bombs in front of them, or throw bombs into their mouths, and they'll still die just the same. Just like classic Dodongos. So I like that little attention to detail where even though you don't have bombs to kill them and you can kill them by their tails, you can still kill them the old-fashioned way with bombs. Ah, yes, we have Deku Scrub shops, where they sell you a variety of items that you can find quite easily in the wild, like Deku Sticks, nuts, seeds, things like that, for very exorbitant prices. I would not trust my money with them, because you can just slash some pots or slash some hit bushes or throw some rocks and get pretty much the same thing that you would buy from them for free. The hitbox on these tails are really, really small, as evidenced by my failures. When I first played this game, I got hurt so many times by that swooping tail. When you hit them once, they swoop around, and that tail is fully extended. And if you manage to not dodge it in time, you'll get smacked. I think it's either half heart or full heart of damage. I died several times to this run broom my first time through the game because I couldn't get out of the way of that tail fast enough. I wasn't keeping my distance. Now this is interesting, the puzzle in this room. It's another light all the torches. But the fact that they spread them out throughout the rest of the room rather than having them like all together, like 4 torches in a circle, or 4 torches kind of in the middle of the room. No, they have them spread out throughout the room where you have to kind of run through one by one to light them. I didn't realize this was a torch lighting puzzle my first time through. And I could not figure it out for the life of me until I went to school, and when I was back in school days playing this, and some of my friends had already gone on to being an adult in Ocarina of Time, and I was still stuck here in the Dodongo's Cavern, and they said, "Oh yeah, that room, you just gotta light the torches." And I'm like, "Wait, what torches?" "Yeah, the 3 torches in the room, you gotta light them." And so of course I go back and I check, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so mad that I could not figure that out myself. So this whole dungeon was definitely a learning experience for me. That is definitely true. And another thing that's interesting, this is the first game, I think, in the series that actually reverses the order you get the map and the compass. In this game, and I think every game hereafter, you get the map of the dungeon first, but you have no idea where any of the treasure chests or special items or boss or anything are in the dungeon. You're just kind of wandering around the blank rooms in the map. But then you get the compass, because the new added features that they added to the compass, like knowing where all the treasures are and being able to get 100% in every dungeon because you have the compass to refer to, they reversed the order that you find them in because the compass is now far more valuable. Even without the map, you can still find things using just the compass alone. Yes, Armos. The Armos in this game cannot be killed by single sword swipes like in previous games. You actually have to use an explosive to destroy them, and sometimes getting them to stay still long enough to get in the way of the explosion, the blast, is very, very difficult. And I remember killing myself several times my first time trying to get this to work. I think all it required was to just throw a bomb at it, and as it wakes up... You know what? I was totally wrong there. So you want to slash it, drop it where it's gonna come back to its original position. There you go. And what surprised me was that it had a last-ditch explosion effort to kill you, which I think caught me a couple times as well. And a compass, real close to where we found the map. Although technically you could have probably gotten the map as soon as you entered the dungeon, but eh. Now the puzzle here is pretty simple if you think about it. You take the bomb flower over here and put the bomb where there isn't a flower over here between the two, to kind of complete the whole symmetric design there. And of course that explodes all of them, which loosens this staircase to fall. Not a completely intuitive puzzle, but if you really study the layout of the room, you can kind of figure it out eventually. Then you begin the long process of pulling yourself up every single step. 20 rupees is a pretty rare sight in pots. Fire bats. I did not expect to last with my Deku shield very long. I tried my darndest to keep the Deku shield as long as I could. So I guarantee you, my Deku shield is going to run out eventually. Now here, only one Armos is not alive, or will not activate. And of course, that's the one right in front of the ladder. I don't really think this is a puzzle at all. It's more just get the thing out of the way so you can climb the ladder. Although I have to admit, I really do like this design where they keep coming back to the main atrium, the main room with the Dodongo skull. It's like this is where they spent most of their time and effort in designing this room and rendering it and modeling it, that they're like, we're going to get a lot of mileage out of this room, so let's have the player crisscross on multiple levels of this particular room, because they want to show off their handiwork, and I don't blame them, because that skull is awesome. And I can't wait if they make an HD version to see this particular dungeon or that particular room in HD. That'd be amazing. This room. I never really thought this room was designed very well, because it's a whole bunch of close corridors, and the camera is hugging you really close behind you. It just seems like it's designed very awkwardly to kind of prove a point that traps are bad, and you should kind of look around for traps. And that's pretty much the whole point of this room, is to kind of show the player that they need to control the camera better to kind of figure out where certain traps are that are going to harm you. And then this bombable wall. Oh my goodness. I think I just about gave up trying to bomb this wall, thinking it can't be this hard to get through this room to bomb this wall. But yes, it can be this hard. You basically have to use all the skills you've learned so far with the bomb flowers and throw the bomb. And you have to do that. I don't know of any other way you can get to this platform than jumping down from above there, which is absolutely ridiculous trying to maneuver the camera. So you gotta wait for it, which I threw way too early. I remember ruining the timing on this bomb flower so many times and having it explode on me, and of course I think I died a couple times as well. But that's pretty much what you have to do. You have to throw it and have it explode in midair, otherwise it'll just bounce off, fall down, and explode there, and you just wasted another, 5-6 more seconds. That part was so frustrating to me my first time through. I do like the fact that you kind of see an evolution, or the growth of the Dodongo, you know, through its various stages of growth, from a baby to an adolescent to supposedly an adult, which we're, you know, at the time we're going to assume I'm probably going to fight something pretty big, you know, Dodongo-wise as a boss. And sure enough, you'd be right. The game does not disappoint there. Now, the trick with this particular... Oh, yeah, he actually got a hit on me. The trick with this particular battle with Lizalfos is that the platforms are a little smaller, and it's much easier to fall off. And if that whole gap area over there where the hearts are, that actually, if you happen to fall off there, the platform, you fall to the old boss room that you went earlier before when you fought these guys the first time. And you're going to have to work your way all the way back up to this room and restart the whole battle. See? That was the mini-boss room from before. So this is not a place where you want to fall off. It's kind of like Moldurm from Link to the Past. It'll reset the battle. I don't quite remember if I actually ever fell off, or if I just kind of hung out back by the doors and killed them both that way. Overall, they haven't changed too much. They're still pretty easy. Now this is technically a repeat of the previous room with the eye switch, but now it's 2 stages instead of 1. So you start the first stage by seeing the switch that's actually in view, and then you use the camera to find the switch that is out of view. But you gotta be quick though, because I think it was like my second time trying it that I wasn't quick enough and the fire came back up because it's kind of timed, and it burned me really bad. Now, do not skip this chest. I actually skipped this chest entirely my first time, and I went back to the main Dodongo skull room, and I couldn't figure out what to do. And you're going to need bombs to kind of proceed onward, so don't skip this chest like I did. Now that we got the switch, we have an easy way to get back up to the upper level just in case we die from here on out. Now this is an important clue. When it sees red, a new way to go will be open. It's almost as vague as Dodongo dislikes smoke. It's almost as vague as that hint. But if you kind of follow the logic of reasoning here, what did you just get? You got bombs, right? So obviously, what are you going to use to make the eyes see red? You're probably going to blow them up with something explosive. Again, I wasn't the smartest tool in the shed when I was younger playing this. I never got that. And I actually, I'll admit, had to look up a strategy guide online to figure out that I needed to drop bombs from the 2 holes in the bridge here, which are perfectly placed over the eyes. I mean, you could drop down and drop a bomb on top of each eye, but I don't think you could climb up or get over to the other side without going back up top and dropping down again from the bridge to bomb the other eye. I just thought that was so cool, where the mouth just opens up and reveals another passageway. That was awesome. Yeah, we kind of got that. Thanks, Navi. Now we move on to the final rooms of the dungeon. Straight in the mouth. The mouth of death.